got a lot of this.
President Thunberg, Brad.
Administrator Crenshaw.
We'll start in a couple minutes. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I would like to remind everyone in the audience, if you do not have a yellow slip and you want to speak at tonight's meeting, I encourage you to go ahead and start filling that out now. The yellow slips can be found on the back wall where you grab the agenda. That will be needed to have any comments when you come up front. Thank you.
Terry's not on WebEx, is she?
I haven't been able to get on yet, so.
Good evening, everyone. It is 7:20. I'm calling this regular meeting of the Village Board to order. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and section 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration action. Roll call showing all trustees present, and trustee Terry Kaminsky is on the WebEx. I now ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and for a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are now on to the President's report, and before I start, I want to apologize to Trustee Rick Miller for interrupting your GGF meeting. I inadvertently, and Chief, I'm falling on my sword, I called 911 on my village cell phone, and they called me back, and the process works, which is good. And they interrogated me, asked me my name, my date of birth, my address, and where I'm at, and they verified everything. So I apologize for that. So saying that, good evening, everyone. We get to have a village board meeting tonight. I'd like to share what has been going on since my last President's Report update. It continues to be to never be a dull moment in our community. Ho, ho, ho. The Christmas season is officially here. Germantown's Christmas parade was this past Saturday, and it was a wonderful parade. Christmas in the Park followed the parade along with the official tree lighting ceremony. It was truly a pleasure to participate in the tree lighting ceremony along with Santa and Mrs. Claus. When no one was looking, I asked Santa if I was on the naughty list, and he said no, which will certainly surprise my wife and maybe a few of my fellow trustees and those in this room tonight. A very special thanks goes out to the Germantown Area Chamber of Commerce for putting on a great Christmas festival, and to all the other sponsors and volunteers that made that day a success. This is just another reminder of why our community is a great place to live, work, and play. You may have heard that the village email network was compromised by unknown actors. Our third-party consultant completed a comprehensive review of our email system and other systems. They determined that the bad actors gained access to our email system through a phishing attachment that was opened by a village employee that would then subsequently several other village employees. All those computers have been wiped and reset to original configurations. They reviewed our other village systems and were able to confirm that no other village systems were affected. They also provided a list of best practices they recommended protecting against further incidents. The Germantown Police Department has opened an investigation on this matter and has reached out to FBI Milwaukee Cyber Squad. This manager only reinforces that thinking before you click on suspicious links are one of the best practices to have a cyber hygiene program. We are moving forward with the demo work on the Flower Source property, which is long overdue. GGF just discussed this and will be moving forward to the full board for action. Exact dates and times will be shared in the near future. This past week, there was a design RFP walkthrough at the Fire Station 2 for firms interested in submitting a proposal for design services for the station renovation and expansion. There was a high level of interest as 11 firms participated, indicating that we should get a good and competitive proposals. This evening, we have a packed agenda that includes several important issues that include: one, the adoption of the 2026 budget and property tax levy. Two, a reconsideration of the PDD and CSM request for Blackstone Golf Creek Golf Course under unfinished business. We had a trustee on the prevailing side of that vote when it was considered at the November 3rd Village Board meeting and requested that a motion to reconsider be placed on this agenda. And I'm confident that you'll be pleased with the outcome of the discussion and action. And finally, an ordinance to amend the Germantown Municipal Code relating to possibly allowing all-terrain and utility terrain vehicles on village streets. In closing, I'm looking forward to a great meeting this evening as we all work together to move Germantown forward to make our community a better place to live, work, and play. Thank you. We are now on to item 5, announcements of forthcoming events of public interest, committee and department reports. Trustee Kaminsky, I know you're on WebEx. Do you have anything to share tonight? Trustee Rick Miller.
I can speak for, I believe, we decided Public Works is going to be on Tuesday, the 2nd, rather than Wednesday, the 3rd, next month. So it'll be Tuesday, the 2nd. And General Government and Finance will be, on Monday, December 15th.
Great, thank you. Trustee Metcutts.
Public Safety will meet Monday, December 1st at 6 PM in this room.
Any other department chair would like to speak tonight? Trustee Jen Miller.
Good evening. We'll have the Economic Development Committee meeting in this room on 12/9 Tuesday at 6 PM. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Okay, we're now on to item 6, citizen input. Would anybody like to come forward and speak tonight? You have 4 minutes. Good evening and welcome.
Just, Mr. President, just as a reminder to everybody in the audience, if your comments relate to the budget, please save those for the actual budget hearing.
It doesn't matter. You people don't listen anyway. So I'm going to talk about this Blackstone Creek thing. The people here,
Can we get your form too when you get time? Thank you. Your form, your yellow form. Thank you.
hello. Okay. The people in this village voted no for this. The man that owns that golf course has been trying to get rid of that land for a long time. And what I don't like is there's no written plan of anything, okay? And the verbiage I read still include land exchange. Those words should be taken out of any contract. If anybody here has any smarts, they would read that and realize that. That land did not pass FEMA. Part of it is designated a floodplain, okay? Why do we want to settle ourselves with a land that has that designation? That's just plain stupid. We'll never get rid of that land or be able to use it because of that designation. And that's why he wants to get rid of that. And he's willing to exchange it for anything. That's what I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. But all I know is there is no plan. You've had no public meetings, no neighborhood meetings on this big plan, and that should be done. I don't understand what's going on here. We stand up here, people come up here and talk and say no, and you people vote against the village. Even the last thing with the GGF, you voted no, it was overridden. I don't understand why we have board meetings, because most of the time the people aren't listened to anyway, and it gets really discouraging. And this bleeding has got to stop with these taxes, and this project really has to be put before the public. Let the people know what it is. You should have neighborhood meetings of the people that live in that area. I haven't heard one yet. And whoever the trustees for that area should probably look forward to getting people put together with that project. But this whole thing with his plan should be looked at. It should be dissected, and the verbiage should be not against the village for anything. So that's all I'm saying. I don't like how this is all done, and I think it's going to hurt us if we don't be very careful what's in a contract written with this company, because I don't think it's right.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight? Good evening and welcome.
Melanie Smythe, N140W17938 Cedar Lane. Good evening. Just a couple of quick comments. I'll save it for the hearing. Regarding the Blackstone Creek project, I think that if you do reconsider that it should be broken up into the 4 actual decisions. You've got Culvers, you've got the other commercial, you've got the land near the river for the assisted living housing, And then you've got the apartments. Part of the reason that it went the way it did is because everything was bundled together. So my suggestion would be that you split up the discussion and the voting for each of those items in all fairness to the individual projects, because they're all quite different. Regarding the Flower Source land swap, I think it's premature to be considering this at this point. I'm looking forward to the December report where we hear about all of the capital improvements that need to be made over the next 5 years. I think that we may be shocked at the amount that taxes will have to go up in order to cover those costs. And possibly the last thing we may want to do is encumber ourselves more before we understand what the future looks like. Those are my comments.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight and speak? Good evening and welcome.
Scott Heffley, W159 and 10514 Old Farm Road. Just a couple things, but more importantly, I'm going to just start with, I know you're considering the all-terrain utility vehicles out there. Since the last meeting and even earlier when I did not really support this, I took it upon myself to get some education. I talked to Trustee Miller for quite a while about UTV ATVs and the use of them. I also talked to Battalion Chief Riker Holmes, and apparently the fire department does use them in cooperation with the water utility. They do have a UTV, which has proved very helpful. I also got yelled at by my brother-in-law for the fact is he lives up in Cashton and they're everywhere up there. There's more Amish buggies and UTVs than there are cars. So I guess, and the other thing is, one of the things about citizen comments is we make comments and then we get somebody like the police chief to come up here and say he doesn't have a problem with it, which when you go up there and if the head of public safety in the village doesn't have a problem with it, then I guess he probably knows more about this than I do. So I'm changing my thought process and I'm in favor of having it here. And I'm counting on the fact that this village board, people involved will treat it with, treat it seriously and just make sure everybody's safe in regards to using those vehicles, because they're not as big as a vehicle. They're not as big as a truck or a car or an SUV. So, so that's out of the way. Still have time. Land swap between Flower Source and Blackstone. I'm not sure. This was kind of brought up last village board meeting. I don't want to say it was thrown out there, but I never knew it was a thing. And I go to every meeting, as everybody knows. And once again, we're looking at changes of zoning and land swap, and we do not, I'll tell you what, we don't. I was told we had a plan for the Flower Source. There was one that was floated out there. And as we found out, there really wasn't a plan. Okay. We still don't have neighborhood meetings. The Flower Source is an important place to set up the village district for success. And like I said last time, the decisions you make are permanent. These are not temporary things. You can't go back and say, my bad, we shouldn't have done that 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road. So treat it seriously. And I know there's some people in this room that want to jumpstart it. Why are we wasting so much time talking about it? Because one of the things we have to be careful of is this village is on this way, if we keep going the path we're on, to becoming a city. And I'm not looking for Germantown to be cityfied. I don't want the problems of a city. And I don't want to overload ourselves with apartments and other things. And those bring problems. Any one of you look around the area and figure it out. Menominee Falls has chosen to go down the path of just building 1,000 apartments or whatever they're doing. They're going to see what kind of things that brings into the community. And it's very costly. So we don't need to be Menominee Falls. We don't need to be Wauwatosa. We need to be Germantown. And I've lived here 32 years and I love the community for what it is. Do we have everything? No. Do we need everything? No. I like the rural feel, and I like the fact that we're not a city and don't have all the problems. Any of you, I grew up in the Cedarburg area. Anybody who drive through Cedarburg, it's a beautiful town, right? All these signs all along the whole thing saying, stop overdevelopment. Even the people in Cedarburg are getting frustrated with overdevelopment, and that town is at the precipice. I don't want us to be on the precipice like that town is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight and speak? Good evening and welcome.
Hi, my name is Mike Foley. I'm part of the Blackstone Creek subdivision. I was just on this awesome vacation. We were gone for almost a month, Spain, Italy, transatlantic cruise. And then I saw SWAP come back in the agenda. So digging through a whole lot of stuff over several hours today. There's a Heartland report that Mr. Sedgwick paid for. The Assured Wetland Delineation and Environmental Corridor Delineation Report. There's also a Blackstone Creek CSM, the Certified Survey Map. And in there, they talk about what is called Outlot 1. Thinking most of you have seen this. I have a picture of Outlot 1 that I took that's just really beautiful. The river that you see here is what most people call the 16th fairway most of the time. It gets presented here as if it's a resource that we could do something with. And I've said this before in a different meeting, that I just want to be clear that some of the stuff that we're looking at here isn't the way it's being presented. This is definitely, I'm seriously underwater. I'll leave this with you. You can pass around if you care to. If we're going to do something on that property, I want to know if you've all considered how we're going to build on it, how you would access it, because there is an accessibility to that piece of property, unless you want to put a driveway at the end of Mequon Road and River Lane. I don't know how you get power to it. I don't know how you plumb it. And I certainly don't know how you insure it. The second thing that really troubled me is this is, and I put outlot, it's not outlot, it's lot 2. This is the proposed area for the development. It includes the culvert corner, but I didn't break that on out. The issue that I have with that is that it completely wipes out the 1st, 2nd, 9th, and 10th holes of the golf course. So now you've got a 14-hole golf course, but there's no flow to get to the 11th, 3rd, or 8th tees or greens. So now you don't have a golf course. If it's not a viable golf course, what is it? If it's not going to be a viable golf course, how is it going to be maintained? This is my backyard. If this is just going to go wild, we've got a problem. So there isn't a place to put the clubhouse as I can see it. And should the developer decide to walk away, that's a problem. Or is it another step toward a property swap? Do we get ourselves half pregnant and have to go through with a swap because we can't do anything else with the property? There's been a lot of discussion regarding environmental impact of the housing development within Blackstone Creek Golf Course. My opinion is that more concrete, more flooding. I don't know how you get around that. We've asked Culvers for a number of items regarding management of stormwater and the documentation on the Germantown website. I'm not seeing the same thing for the housing development. It's curiosity to me. From a traffic standpoint, supposedly we don't have a problem putting a major development on Pilgrim and Mequon, or a Culvers on Mequon and Division. But the village board is asking a little development south of Mequon and Division for a traffic study to move forward. It just seems odd. I don't think I'm alone in wondering where the Germantown plan is. There's been a number of times when the 2050 plan has been referred to either as the basis and justification for what a developer wants to do, or alternatively as a mythical document that no one seems to know where it came from or why it states what it does. In 40+ years of business, I have never had a product development requirement document, a company acquisition proposal, or a yearly budget that I didn't consider what the reality would look like when the plan was complete. I've listened to too many hours of discussion in this room that is all about what other people want for development in Germantown, and too little direction from this assembly to say, this is what we like our home to look like in the future. Why do we care what the developers want if it doesn't line up with what we think we want and need in Germantown? And finally, and this is 50% real questions and 75% unloading on all of you. What ethical reason could there be for jamming this unfinished business item on the end of another overbooked agenda at the last possible moment? If you're not going to listen to the concerns of the many Germantown residents voiced here and admit that you all turned off during the public comment section, and I'm keeping my head down because I don't want to single anybody out, but I only saw 2 people look up at earlier people that were talking, and that's a problem. If you're not going to actually consider, evaluate, act on, and then report back to us what you found, then why not just make a backroom deal with Mr. Sedgwick and save those of us who really care about all of this the time and frustration of midnight meetings?
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight and speak? Thank you. Thank you. Good evening and welcome.
Okay. I just want to say that my brother and I are here because we are in favor of the ATV routes and Germantown opening up to them. The last fellow that came in here kind of came in and only spoke of the fatalities, and that was a little disheartening. No comparisons, no nothing. I did a little research, and there are twice as many ATVs, UTVs in Wisconsin, half as many deaths. And I know that safety was a concern. And if you look at the difference between motorcycles and ATVs, well, UTVs, they have roll cages, they have LED lights, brake lights. I've been riding for about 30 years, and it just sounded like most of the board had little to no experience with that. And if there are any questions about it that I could answer, I'd be happy to. I did some comparisons to car sizes because I know somebody had said that they were concerned about hitting a UTV, but I mean, you have to be concerned about hitting a motorcycle as well. Most UTVs are quieter than any of the Harleys on the road, and I'm all for motorcycles too, don't get me wrong. Yeah, and I wanted to know if there were any questions I could answer to you guys, because it sounded like not many people had much experience. But, and I know there was another comment by one of the board members concerning if the UTVs, ATVs would travel on the snowmobile tracks, which typically in most communities they do not, because that would tear up the land. So typically they stay on the road, they follow all the directions of the road and the signs. And again, just regarding safety, there are blinker kits that are available. I think pretty soon they'll be making them with those. So yeah, if you guys have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. Like I said, I've got about 30 years of experience riding ATVs and UTVs, and in my opinion, they're a pretty safe vehicle. My UTV has a roll cage, 5-point harnesses. Yeah, so in short, I'm in favor of it. So thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight and speak? Do we have anybody on WebEx who'd like to speak?
I have a comment.
Sure. The floor is yours.
All right. Good evening. Kyle Johnson, W148 and 12181, Pleasant View Drive, Germantown. So tonight I'd like to speak in favor of the ATV UTVs. As we know, surrounding communities in Washington County, they've already adopted ordinances that permit them, both ATVs and UTVs, on the roadways. These communities, they've demonstrated that with clear rules, the signage, that all these routes can be managed safely and integrated into the other vehicle traffic, motorcycles, and everything else that's on the road nowadays. So what I'd say is there's really 4 reasons why I would say do this. First, we will be like our neighboring communities. We can interact with them safely and access regional trails. Secondly, the residents, we are desiring these, right? As people have spoken, people own these vehicles already. If they want to use them, they load them up, go out of town, go out of the community. Third, economic. If they're allowed here, other businesses will pop up in the community. So economic development, that would happen. I think lastly, the safety and the regulation of all this, right? So in the packet, there is the ordinance. Along with that, state law does require registration, safety certificates, helmet use, insurance. We've seen these ordinances all around us in other communities. If you have those in place, this can be a safe experience for everybody involved. So I know there can be concerns about the noise, safety, potential misuse. You know, our neighboring communities, they're doing already. They collaborate with the state, county, the DNR. They've addressed all these issues. They have speed limits, mandatory safety equipment, and clear enforcement by law enforcement. We can implement these same measures to promote responsible use. We do know that people will misuse things, right? There will be minors and individuals who behave irresponsible on these machines or other devices, but that should not prevent people in Germantown from not using them. So, summary, we have the opportunity to join the other communities around us to support safe and regulated ATV and UTV use. This will benefit the residents, local businesses, and our regional connectivity. So I'd say, why not Germantown? Let's move forward together. Let's make Germantown a community that listens, adapts, and grows with its residents. There's been plenty of material provided in other packets, so I appreciate your time, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone else on WebEx like to speak tonight? Do we have any email comments?
We do have a few email comments that I can read. The first is from Susan Foley on Blackstone Circle. And her comments read, I'm unfortunately unable to attend the meeting today, but remain steadfast in my belief that this property should not be developed further. The floodplain assessment being used is old. The new FEMA map accurately reflects that we shouldn't add more development to this area. In the time I've lived here, only 4 years, we have had 3 other significant flooding that covered the bridges and threatened Mequon Road. Again, please consider the greater good of the community over a single business person. A park is the best, most common sense use for this area. Additionally, the Culvers is a mistake for this location. Please remember the room full of people that showed up to share their daily experience of traffic issues at this intersection. Trust your community, you act in their interests. Please create smaller agendas so a more thoughtful conversation can be had regarding these issues. Haste makes waste and poor decisions. Thank you. Second, we have a submittal from Sarah Larson on Butternut Road. And Ms. Larson comments, good morning. Though many are not thrilled with Culvers being the choice for the Blackstone corner or how history has been to date and other matters concerning this property, I support item B to move forward with the property division so the Culvers can proceed. They should not suffer for a poorly written agenda background at the last meeting. Regarding item F, I think this should be removed from the agenda. There is no background included for public reference, and knowing how full the agenda is, the public doesn't want to wait until 10 p.m. or later to find out the intent. Further, there has never been any public expression by Mr. Sedgwick of the desire to swap for the flower source land. So that is something he should bring forward at whatever point he wants to deal with the remainder disposition or development of the land. Thanks. And then finally, we have an email from John Yatso. I'm writing to Deer Village board members. I'm writing to express my significant concerns regarding the proposed winter sidewalk maintenance map and the associated proposal to transfer the responsibility of sidewalk plowing from the village to individual residents and property owners. I reside in the area of Lake Park West, and this proposal has considerable negative implications for our neighborhood and potentially many others throughout the village. My primary concerns stem from the financial and logistical burden this transfer of responsibility would place on residents. As noted in recent budget discussions, the village currently lacks the $170,000 needed to purchase a new snow blower to maintain these sidewalks. If the village, with its resources and equipment, cannot manage the cost, it is unreasonable to expect residents at Lake Park West to purchase the necessary equipment, such as a snow blower, to effectively clear public sidewalks. We lack the resources and capacity to maintain these public right-of-ways safely and consistently. We understand the budget considerations are difficult. However, we urge the board to explore alternative solutions. The suggestion of reallocating existing resources, such as potentially selling surplus snowplows to a dedicated sidewalk maintenance program, seems like a viable option worth exploring before downloading the responsibility onto residents. The current approach appears to prioritize equipment inventory over resident safety and accessibility. Furthermore, we believe this proposal has not received adequate public input or scrutiny. There seems to have been limited formal communication or opportunity for affected residents and businesses to voice their concerns. We strongly request that a formal public hearing be scheduled to discuss this matter openly and that letters be sent directly to all impacted residents and businesses to ensure they are fully informed about the potential changes and their responsibilities. The maintenance of public sidewalks is a matter of public safety, accessibility for all residents, including those with mobility challenges, and community well-being. A patchwork of maintenance efforts driven by individual capacity is not an effective solution. We ask that the village board reconsider this proposal and work towards a solution that ensures the village maintains its responsibilities for safe and accessible sidewalks for all residents. Thank you for your time and attention to these critical concerns. We look forward to learning more about the next steps and hope for a constructive dialogue on this matter. Sincerely, John Yatso, Lake Park West Vice President. And that's all we have for input.
Okay, before we move on, any other comments? Okay, moving on to item 7, consent agenda items A through G. Entertain a motion.
Move approval of consent agendas item A through G.
Second.
Discussion. Trustee Cutts.
I'd like to pull item F.
Item F. Okay. Further discussion. We're voting on items A, B, C, D, E, and G. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, roll call. That's right. Reminding me, Donna. Sorry.
So just so I can state for the record, the motion was made by trustee Rick Miller. It was seconded by trustee Warren, and the motion is to approve consent agenda. Trustee Cutts requested to remove item F. Roll call vote, trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Cutts,
Aye.
trustee Baum, trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Borst,
Aye.
trustee Pieper, trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
trustee Kaminsky,
Aye.
village president Soderberg.
Aye, that motion carries. We're now into item F, modification of the MMSD PPI and I, or withdrawal of our work plan in light of recent programmatic changes. Matt, good evening.
Good evening, thank you. So this item is kind of a reversal of course from what took place and was approved by the board in terms of action on the PP&I program from MMSD a couple months ago. If you recall, we approved the submission of a work plan, which would have committed us to do this private lateral work with MMSD funding in combination with a sewer relay in a number of years. It was in 2028. And that was put together with guidance from MMSD. And when we submitted the work plan, we were told that essentially the program as it had operated for a number of years had changed. And it had changed primarily due to the storms in August, which highlighted some other needs throughout their sewer shed that needed additional resources. So effectively what they're doing is limiting or eliminating the annual allotment that we received every year Because our strategy was to accumulate that over a number of years and apply for some of the competitive funding to make a whole project in 2028 and do that work. Now they're eliminating the annual allotment, shrinking the total pool available and directing it towards sewer sheds that are in need of more work than ours. So we feel that it's not appropriate to apply for that program because we could put ourselves and the sewer utility at more financial risk. And then pairing that with the availability of a separate program through MMSD called Pipe Check, where residents who have issues with their private water lateral can use that program to get the replacement about half funded through MMSD. So effectively what happened is they didn't accept that work plan that we submitted, and they asked us to submit a new work plan under those guidelines that I just laid out. And at Public Works in November, just a couple of weeks ago, the committee decided that they did not want to proceed with submitting another work plan because of some of the risks that I outlined there. At this point, that means that the funding that was allotted for 2025 will have lapsed. So that funding is no longer available for private lateral replacement. And it will not be available in the future. If we wanted to do this type of work, it would require that competitive application to that smaller capital pool of resources.
So then is this for the modification or for withdrawing from the plan? It wasn't very clear to me.
It was for withdrawing.
Okay, and you said you have received some money already? Does that have to go back or what happens to that?
We haven't actually received it. We had an allotment that now we will not use. It will not be available.
Okay.
What was the vote? That's Public Works.
This went through Public Works, right? Right?
I don't recall. I think it was unanimous,
I
but
believe it was 4-0, yeah.
It's basically they pulled the funding or the plan. So to submit another plan is futile.
Yeah, I just basically didn't understand if you're modifying or withdrawing because it wasn't very clear. So I'll make a motion to approve the withdrawal of the work plan from MMSD, PPI, and I.
Second.
Discussion?
Trustee Baum.
Trustee Baum, do we have discussion? See none? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I don't think we have to.
Is that money, is it?
No,
You were not
not
spending money.
spending it.
That motion carries. Yeah, I think she voted in the favor. So,
I voted aye.
yes, thank you, Terry. Okay, moving on to item 8, unfinished business. Item A, potential reconsideration of Jim Sedgwick, Hymet Capital LLC, agent for Blackstone Creek LLC, property owner N112W17300 Mequon Road, application to amend the Blackstone Creek Plan Development District PDD, General Development Plan, a resolution to adopt revised PDD conditions and restrictions, and a 2-lot certified survey map to allow the development of 2 1- and 2-acre commercial retail sites and a 205 multifamily residential units. Administrator Kreckle.
Village attorney.
Village attorney.
So this is on the agenda based on a request from trustee Rick Miller, who indicated he might be willing to change his vote and to modify the potential approval as a result of that. He discussed that directly with the village president, who was okay with adding it to the agenda, which is why there's not the usual 2-signature form that you see sometimes on the agenda. Just by way of reminder, the process here would first be to have a motion to reconsider. And if that motion passed, then effectively what that does is it just removes the vote that had taken place. The existing motion would then be on the floor, and from there you can do with it as you please. Amend it, table it, whatever the case may be.
I'll make a motion to reconsider unfinished business item A as presented.
Second. Am I allowed to second it if I was in a negative?
Yes, thank you. Do we have discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
We have any opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2. 2 opposed. That motion carries. Right.
All right, so at this point, the motion that was pending at the time is before you, which was a motion to approve essentially as presented. And as I noted, you can modify that as you will. I do know that Director Retzloff is here this evening. He may have some thoughts to share on the matter as well.
Well, why don't we entertain a motion? Trustee Rick Miller.
Make a motion to approve for discussion?
We already have a motion, right?
No, this motion is to approve this like for discussion, I guess, or
Yeah, we're back to the original.
I want to hear from Rick, please.
We're back to the original recommendation of the PDD and the CSM. And I'll entertain a motion. Trustee Rick Miller.
Yeah, so there's going to be a little discussion first before I make my motion, but I really struggled with this at the last meeting. And the one thing that I struggled with the most was the multifamily or the residential portion of it. The commercial portion of it, I was okay with. Highway 167/Mequon Road is a state highway and in my opinion should be commercial. So I had no issue with that portion of the PDD. And surprisingly, I got a lot of calls from residents, some that I haven't talked to in quite a while. And, it's kind of pleasant talking to them. But there was a lot of support in that type of thing. So I want to amend the motion to approve the commercial aspect of the planned development district and remove at this time the multifamily residential units.
Do we have a second?
Second. I just seconded, that's all.
Okay, do we have discussion? Trustee Baum.
So are you separating the question or are you denying the multifamily, the residential portion?
I wasn't sure how to word it, honestly. To accept the commercial portion of it, but not the residential portion.
Well, right now, we have turn the clock back at the Plan Commission meeting and the last village board meeting. We had a recommendation from staff on the PDD and the CSM. That motion failed. We're back to our original, we're back to whatever we want to talk about in terms of this site. And we have a recommendation or a motion on the table right now strictly for the commercial aspects of the property. Now, I will add some clarity to this. In conversations this past week, when I was sitting down with Trustee Rick Miller reviewing the GGF agenda and also Village Administrator Steve Preklo and our Village Attorney, we did talk about the agenda items that we have in front of us. One of the concerns I have is, and I support this, by the way, one of the concerns I have is that we need not clarity, but we need to provide an opportunity for the neighborhood meetings. And I asked the question about, we've got a RFP out there and a contract being created for neighborhood meetings for Grossnick and the Flower Source property. I asked the question, can we expand that? And I'm not one on scope creep, especially as a client, but I think in this case, we need to expand that RFP and that contract to include the whole Village Center neighborhood so that we could finally have a conversation, not only on Grossneck, but also on Flower Source, but also on the property on Main Street, West Main Street, Blackstone, et cetera. There's been discussions about, oh my gosh, we're going to lose a golf course. Can we keep some of the golf course for the community? I want to hear that from the community. I want to hear what's in the best interest of our community for the Blackstone property, the 205 units, and elsewhere. So I think we can do that, modify the contract to expand to include the whole Village Center neighborhood.
We did issue an RFP. We have proposals coming in, but we don't have a contract yet. So there is an opportunity to adjust that, and that'll be before the board. I think we're planning to bring that at one of the December meetings.
Okay, great. Trustee Pieper.
Mr. Retzloff, if you could help me out here. So the original proposal was splitting up the area into 3 different parcels, am I right?
There was 2 and an outlot, so arguably 3.
Okay, so this, what trustee Miller has proposed is affecting 2 of the 3 lots?
Well, I'm not exactly sure, given the motion. Because there are 2 items. There's the Plan Development District amendments as one application, and there's the certified survey map as a second application. The CSM divides a portion of the property specifically for the fast food restaurant with drive-through service, also known as the Culvers project.
So this isn't touching the golf course at all?
It is the.
Well, the actual course. I know it's going to, the Culvers is planned to be on the corner, so it would, you know, obviously the parking lot, that whole area is going to be changed. But in regards to the actual golf course.
This particular CSM does not, and Jim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the CSM that's before you specifically creates the 1.27 acre parcel for the Culvers. The balance of the land is left in, I forget if it's lot 1 or lot 2, but a single parcel, except for the approximate 5 acre outlot that lies between the Presbyterian Homes Senior Community on the southeast and the Blackstone Creek residential area on the northwest.
The outlot,
Can
we're
see
not
it-
voting on changing anything regarding the outlot, correct?
Other than creating it, by
We're
way of,
creating it today.
if you approve the CSM as recommended by the Plan Commission, it creates the outlot as shown here in this graphic.
I would like to make a motion to amend and also withdraw the outlot from this proposal.
Second.
We have trustee Baum.
I don't know how you can second it because I don't know what you mean by withdraw the outlot.
Because if this passes, we're separating the outlot from the rest of the golf course, correct?
You're creating an outlot. You're just defining that. It's still part of their property. But if you recall back when the Presbyterian Homes was developed, the Presbyterian Homes had rights to that 5 acres. There was some portion of the negotiations for that development is because they needed additional land to fulfill all their goals.
So that was brought forth years ago.
It was brought forth years ago because we agreed that the Presbyterian Homes was allowed to pull that property off.
Agreed to it, then why are we voting on it?
Hear from Jeff.
So can I jump in here? From a Robert's Rules perspective, your amendment motion can't happen right now. You can't amend and amend it. You can't have 2 amendments stacked on top of each other. You have a motion to amend, that's trustee Miller's. You have to deal with that one and then amend from there. You can't just keep amending amendments. Sorry.
And trustee Miller's motion, trustee Rick Miller's motion was specific to the commercial property.
Yeah, so when I read this, it says 2 lot survey map to allow the development of 2 1 to 2 acre commercial retail sites and the 205 for multifamily. So to me, there's 2 lots, commercial, that are involved. I'm okay with that, and that's what I want my motion to be.
And we have a second on that. And again, we're not voting now on a Culver's or any other restaurant that may or may not go in there. We're only voting on creating the opportunity, changing it from a bank with a drive-through to a restaurant with a drive-through. That's all we're doing. And if this passes, this will then go to the Plan Commission to follow the process. Trustee Medcuts.
I wasn't done.
I'll come back to you.
Part of the PDD is where this zoning for the drive-through restaurant comes in, so that is separate from the CSM, correct?
That is correct.
So in order to be able to even have a drive-through restaurant, we would have to approve both.
Correct. PDD amendment, as recommended by the Plan Commission, contains language that provides for the fast food restaurant with the drive-through facility. That is needed as a prerequisite for the Culvers to go forward. So if the motion is to reconsider the action, you would still need to approve that part of the PDD amendment that creates or adds that land use, the fast food restaurant with the drive-through facility. But you'd also have to approve the CSM, at least to the point of creating the 1.27 acre parcel in the corner that's intended for the fast food restaurant with the drive-through.
And that would include all the other items in the PDD also?
I'm sorry?
And that includes all the items that are in this PDD zoning for the multifamily, because there's several amendments in it.
Right. So,
Correct.
maybe might I suggest that we, with permission of the board, withdraw the current pending motion. And I think that the motion that you want to make
Some help on that.
is spelled out in the memo that Mr. Retzloff handed out. Basically, the motion as it currently stands without Trustee Miller's amendment would be to approve, subject to the 14 conditions on the PDD and the 3 conditions on the certified survey map. That was the motion that was pending. We would look to have, in this case, a motion that would make 2 amendments to that motion. The first would be to revise the proposed supplemental general development plan for the golf course and commercial area dated October 2nd, 2025, to delete the proposed 20.55 acre, 205 unit residential development area. And 2, to revise the text amendment language to delete all references and related language to the proposed 205 unit residential development consistent with the RM multifamily zoning district regulations. What that motion, if it would be made and passed, would do, basically says that you keep the 2 lot CSM, meaning the 2 lots in this case would be the small lot in the corner, kind of where we're highlighting here. And then the bulk of the land with the 1 outlot that's there. Typically, when you're doing a CSM, you wouldn't, like a 2 lots, you wouldn't say 3 lots in this case because it's only 2 with the outlot. So that's the change to the CSM that would happen as part of this. And then we would remove from the proposal all of the language related to the 205 unit residential component. In other words, all the approval would do is authorize the CSM and to authorize the PDD change to allow for the 1 drive-through restaurant in the on lot 1.
Thank you.
That's fair.
Trustee Pieper.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I am still extremely confused about this. Does this change the zoning at all to the golf course whatsoever?
No.
But we're still creating an outlot.
You are creating an outlot based on the CSM, correct?
Yes.
5 acres.
Correct. That would be the small piece.
Why can't we remove the outlot portion?
Jim, do you want me to jump in and try and explain, or do you want to do that?
The outlot that you're talking about, the only intended purpose of that is to add that land to the existing lot for Presbyterian homes. They're not going to build on it. It's not buildable. It is in the floodplain. No one's planning to build on it. They're merely buying it because they want to have that extra land to support their, they have an expansion that they've planned.
Well, that's
but it's not planning in that area. It literally, it's a density calculation that if they have that extra acreage down there, they can use that in the EH district.
Elderly housing.
Elderly housing district as a math formula to say, all right, we have this many acres that will support a total of X dwelling units. That was part of an agreement, as was referenced earlier. They originally had a contract to control the entire golf course. And we bought that and peeled that out of their control, but in order to do that, they maintained that the right to buy that small section of land so that they could potentially, I don't even know for sure if they're going to do it. They haven't formally proposed anything, but they wanted to buy some additional land to increase their overall density for their phase 2, which was already approved previously, at least the density, as they have to still go through the site plan approval. But they might want to increase that. And I can't speak to any of that because I don't control them or
And I
anything.
understand
They're just trying to buy 5 acres from us.
I understand that, but I don't understand why that is lumped in with this whole thing. To me, that should be separate, and I don't see what the rush is to get this outlot created when honestly, it has nothing to do with Culvers or I don't see why that is included. It makes no sense to me in this whole division of lots and everything. I don't
That's the way
want
our
the outlot
surveyor
in it.
recommended we do it.
Yeah, trustee Pieper, Jeff, Brian, if to satisfy trustee Pieper's comments, what would we have to modify motion number 1 to reflect what she says by pulling that out?
Well, if you wanted to do that, you would require an amendment, a condition to amend the CSM to remove the outlot component. I don't think that's, I mean, it's going to happen one way or the other. He's got a.
I know, but we're trying to move the meeting
Because
forward.
people do CSMs all the time to rearrange their property lines based on, contractual requirements, which is the case here, that they may or may not need to comply with later, just because they feel like it, whatever the case may be.
But Brian, hear me out. We're trying to move forward and we're trying to meet the needs of the retail commercial site only. And if we can carve out the outlet number 1, the 5.2 acres, that will come down at a future date when the retirement folks, they want to come knock on our door through the plan commission. That'll happen. We have a path forward for that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to happen tonight.
Thank you.
So to carve that out, what would we have to modify motion number 1 to reflect?
You could add a number 3 to essentially delete the creation of outlot 3 from the CSM.
Well, I think the exact motion would be to add a 4th condition to the approval of the CSM, which would require the removal of the outlot.
Okay. But you don't want to add another amendment to this motion because trustee Miller's already amending it.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
So-
I mean, what I had suggested was that we scrap the original motion, make this motion instead, which is much clearer and accomplishes what I think everybody is trying to accomplish. And then since we haven't made that motion yet, you could add number 3, which would add the 4th condition to the CSM.
All right, I'm going to start with withdrawing my motion.
And the second agrees.
All right.
Can I get a question? in?
Second, we don't have motion yet.
I was his second and so he withdrawed and I was the second, so
So I'll now make a motion to, as Jeff, but I will read it so everybody knows. Motion to accept the Plan Commission's recommendations and approve both the proposed PDD amendment subject to 14 conditions and the certified survey map subject to 3 conditions with the following revisions. Revise the proposed supplemental general development plan for the golf course and commercial area dated October 2nd, 2025 to delete the proposed 20.55 acre, 205 unit residential development area and revise the text amendment language to delete all references and related language to the proposed 205 unit residential development consistent with the RM3 multifamily zoning district regulations. And in addition, to remove outlot 1.
creation.
Delete.
To add a fourth condition to the approval of the CSM, which
Okay.
requires the removal of the outlot from the CSM.
What he said.
Yes.
Second.
Thank you. Do we have discussion? Trustee Jan Miller.
When you had the other map up just a second ago, the first thing it says is, divide golf course parcel 143 acres, lot 1, 1.27 acres for proposed use Culver's Restaurant. And now you're talking about 5 acres. So are you taking those, just the Culvers, that first lot? Is that what's called lot number 1? Or is it the one on the corner and the
So,
one to the west?
right, so under the motion that was just made, there will be 2 lots that are created by the CSM if it passes. The first one will be a 1.27 acre lot right in the corner, which is proposed to be the Culver's Restaurant. The balance of the golf course will be the second lot. The 5.28 acres that you're referencing is this little strip of land right along the river here, but that's the outlot that we just removed from the CSM.
Okay, just work with me here. In that little corner, it looks like there's actually 2 little square boxes, 2 lots. They divided it in half. There's the corner and the one to the west. There's 2 squares.
I think that's just a function of the fact that the red line covers it. The CSM itself does not have that second line across the other side.
So you're saying that it's just the corner?
Yes.
Oh, 1.27.
There is
Okay,
no
that's,
across there.
but it looks
This-
like it.
It's covered, it looks like this is all one property. It's
Okay.
only this square that we're pulling out.
I wanted to make sure of that. Thank you very much.
Further discussion? Trustee Bob Warren.
Just want to make sure I got this right. So following trustee Miller's motion, talked about 3 conditions. There's only 2 listed here on the sheet that we got from.
No, the original motion was to approve the PDD as presented, which included 14 conditions. And Jeff, I think, has these on the presentation. My guess is we could go through all 14 if we really need to. And to approve the CSM map with 3 conditions. The amendment that we're making is effectively 3-pronged. The 2 that are identified on the sheet below the motion, and then the third one relating to the removal of the CSM.
Okay.
Or the outlet from the CSM.
Thank you.
And again, if this is passed tonight, the next step would be go to the Plan Commission to review the proposed whatever who's going to go in that corner, and Plan Commission will vet that information. And if that passes, it'll go to the full village board for consideration. So
No, actually, it'll stop with the plan commission. It's
There
a
you go.
site plan approval.
thank you. Okay.
Ask a clarifying
Sure.
question. So the conditions, have I seen do I have that? Does that include that amendment?
Yes.
Related to the buffer
It does.
culvers?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that's in there. Doesn't get missed.
Okay, further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
1 opposed and 2 opposed. That motion carries.
So that was the motion to amend.
Okay.
So now you need to approve it.
We're on the original motion, the original amended motion. I'll entertain a motion, right?
Nope, you already have a motion.
We have discussion on the original motion.
Can you repeat the original motion?
All right, so the motion as amended now is a motion to approve the Plan Commission's recommendations and approve both the PDD amendment subject to 14 conditions and the certified survey map subject to 3 conditions with the following revisions. Number 1, that we amended PDD, just like we talked about. Number 2, that you revise the text amendment to remove all references to the 205 unit residential. And number 3, to require the deletion of outlot number 1 from the CSM. So
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Trustee Baum.
So this motion
outline.
is taking the residential portion off the table.
Yes.
That
For the
doesn't
time
preclude
being.
it from coming back at some point, being proposed at some point.
No, no, you're not, no, for the time being. And we're going to modify when the contract does come in for Grossnick and Flower Source, we're going to add the whole Village Center neighborhood so that we have a discussion on that.
Are we allowed to discuss that topic right now?
Village Center?
No, the RFP,
No.
because you keep bringing it up. But if we can't talk about it, you shouldn't bring it up. Because I got questions about that and how that relates to this.
That'll come when we have the discussion, when the contract comes forward. So trustee Jan Miller.
And just to clarify, when you say village center, you mean village center district,
Yes,
like what is found in the 2050 plan?
yes.
Thank you.
Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
2 opposed. That motion carries. Didn't think it would be that difficult, but we got it done. So thank you very much. Moving on to item new business. Oh, I'm sorry, public hearing. Item A, 2026 Village of Germantown budget and 2025 tax levy.
You're approved. You're approved.
This is for Attorney Sajak. Quick question, if I can take things out of order, but with the public hearing in here, I'm not quite sure I can. I want to move new business item E up, but does it need to be after the public hearing? Can it be before?
My computer is freezing on me. What is item E?
The ATV.
Can you move it?
Can I move that in front of the public hearing?
Yeah, I mean, you can amend the order of the agenda however you wish. with
I'd like to make a motion to move items out of order and move new business item E before the public hearing for the budget.
I'll second.
We have discussion. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. We're now to item E, an ordinance amending section 7.11 and creating section 7.111 of the Germantown Municipal Code related to regulation of all terrain and utility terrain vehicles.
I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
We have discussion. Trustee Baum.
Want to start with the attorney first?
Sure. Just by way of just quick introduction to what's proposed here, as discussed at the last board meeting, the proposed ordinance basically makes every road in the village an ATV route, except for county and state highways that have speed limits higher than 35 miles an hour. The one kind of caveat and why I tried to jump in here quickly is that I had one of our associates handle drafting this, as he had done it in a couple of our other communities as a firm. One thing that he didn't take into account is the fact that we have the old full town, the 36 square miles of incorporated area. And so we have roads, in particular in our northern part of the community, that are our roads, but are speed limits that are above 35 miles an hour. And so in talking with the police chief, his recommendation would be to amend the provision related to the speed limit to basically reflect that the speed limit is just the same as whatever is posted. And that would then cover those faster roads. He's a little bit concerned that if you have, a 40 or 50 mile an hour speed limit and people are doing 10 or 15 over that, coming up on a 35 mile an hour, ATV or UTV is probably not safe. So we would recommend that change, I think, right, Chief? Yeah,
So you need a motion to amend?
correct.
I make a motion to amend for what you said.
The posted speed limit.
Yeah, so any all-terrain vehicles must abide by any posted speed limits. Second, Chief?
Second.
Discussion? No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
We have 2 opposed, trustee Jan Miller, trustee Baum. Now we're going to vote on the original motion, the amended motion. We have further discussion. Trustee Baum.
Yes, I listened to the residents spoke. Listened to this man who spoke earlier, who's disappeared. To me, everybody keeps referencing our neighbors, but they reference our neighbors to the north and the northwest. And up there, I do see that is okay. They're a different type of community. You never reference people to our south, people to our east, because we are a first ring suburb of Milwaukee. And half of this community is way too dense and is too urban for these type of vehicles. If we were to limit this to the northern end, you might get me to approve it, but the entire village, no, I can't see the entire village.
Further discussion. Trustee Rick Miller.
Yeah, we do reference that because I was referencing Washington County. Washington County is, of course, our county, and that's who has all the approvals. It is going into Waukesha County. Merton has now approved that. But you're right, Menominee Falls hasn't. Milwaukee probably never will. Some of the more rural areas. However, Slinger tonight is also considering it for full approval. So basically, all of Washington County will be potentially approved by the next couple of months.
Further discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
2 opposed. Trustee Jan Miller.
And Terry.
Okay, thank you, Terry. 3 opposed. That motion carries. We are now on to item A, Village of Germantown 2026 budget and 2025 tax levy. Trustee or Mr. Reckwell.
Yeah, next item is a public hearing. I believe you have the language for the public hearing.
Do you want to go in presentation first and then public hearing for?
We can do that, yes. We can have Finance Director Yuseldin come on up or he's over there.
Let's follow the model that we do for all public hearings. We have presentation first, questions of.
Same presentation.
He's got to show it anyway.
Good evening and thank you. So tonight we'll go over and formally adopt the 2026 budget and 2025 accompanying tax levy. The budget process really begins in late May, early June when we begin to compile the 2026 budget materials, where we work with departments to draft their budget, meet with the village board, oversight committees, and committee of the whole to review and formally bring up the budget here tonight. So like I said, the budget review begins in June with departmental crafting their budget June through July. In August, the department heads meet with myself and the village administrator to review their budgets to present a balanced budget to the village board in early September. This year, we held 5 committee meetings on the recommended budgets, GGF, Public Works, as well as Public Safety. In addition, there were 2 committee of the whole meetings that were scheduled in October, where the full village board reviewed and amended the recommended budget, which led us here tonight for the public hearing and adoption of the 2026 budget and 2025 tax levy. At the committee of the whole, we reviewed the changes made at the committee level, reviewed the 2026 capital projects, allocated any additional revenue, and moved to the public hearing tonight. Like many communities, the Village of Germantown had several budget challenges. We have limited revenue options, increased demand for services, other inflationary factors, and maintain a competitive labor market. During the committee of the whole, the committee made several changes to the recommended budget. They allocated additional state revenue, reduced the capital budget and capital borrowing by $350,000, reallocated projects from the capital fund to the general fund, and reallocated interest earnings to a capital reserve fund to be used to fund future capital projects with cash. The 2026 general fund budget includes additional 3.5% in revenues, or $775,000 over the 2025 adopted budget. This is largely driven by increases in property taxes and public charges for services. Property taxes make up 57% of overall general fund revenues, with the largest next portion being intergovernmental revenue, specifically revenue from the state of Wisconsin. The village is limited on how much they can increase property taxes year over year to net new construction. Net new construction for the 2026 budget was 2.14%, or $274,000. In addition, the 26 budget includes increased state aid of shared revenue and transportation aid, as well as a grant from the Washington County EMS department. In addition, the village board and staff concluded that we are projecting increased development activity in 2026, which will increase permit revenues by $197,000 over the 2025 adopted budget. Looking at general fund expenditures, we see an increase of 3.51% over the 2025 adopted budget. This is largely driven by increases in salaries and wages for village staff. The public safety and public works departments make up over 75% of the village general fund budget. On your screen is a general fund expenditure by department. Expenditure overview. So like I said, salaries and wages increased 7.5% from the 2025 adopted budget. This includes union increases of 3.5% and 4% respectively for the public safety unions. Of the $800,000 increase, roughly $500,000 is due to increased salaries for public safety personnel. In addition, the budget includes a 3.5% performance adjustment for non-union staff. Operating expenses increased modestly and were largely driven by increased costs in We Energies as well as insurance premiums. Overall, the village property tax levy has increased over the last 10 years for village residents. You'll note two increases, or rather large increases, one in 2023 when the debt service levy for the DPW building hit the tax roll, and one in 2025 after the approval of the public safety referendum. On your screen is a 10-year chart of the village tax rate, which has remained relatively flat over the last decade. In addition, that should say 2026. In addition, the 2026 capital projects are listed on your screen. The majority of capital projects will take place in the public safety departments and are largely driven by large infrastructure projects budgeted for 2026. Taking a look at the village's tax portion, you'll see a modest increases in village taxes, roughly $24.57 over the 2025 adopted budget. Combining all the tax rates of the taxing jurisdictions, we're projecting a 1.6% increase in the overall tax rate for village residents, resulting in roughly a 21.5 cent increase per $1,000. So what does this look like as an impact on a residential property? The median assessed value for a residential home in the village of Germantown is $452,000. Taking the projected tax rate of all taxing jurisdictions, the average home can expect a tax increase of $97 for 2026. Thank you.
Do we have any questions of Matthew? Okay, Jen, go ahead.
Could you leave the slide up, Matthew, of the, not that one, go back, of all the different departments, please? 2026 capital, please. Thank you.
Further comments?
We're done. Oh, well, can we just leave it up?
Oh, sure, we can.
Okay, that's,
Any other questions for Matthew? Okay, we're going now into the public hearing. Notice of a public hearing. Village of Germantown notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Village of Germantown Village Board at the Germantown Village Hall located at N112 W17001, Mequon Road, Germantown, Wisconsin, and virtually through the WebEx platform on the following date and at the time. Monday, November 17, 2025 at 7 p.m. or later. The purpose of said hearing is to hear any and all parties, their attorneys and agents, for or against the proposed 2026 Village of Germantown budget and the 2025 tax levy. Would anybody like to come forward tonight in favor to speak for or against budget or the tax levy? Good evening and welcome.
Name is Dennis Myers. I live at N115W20309 Woodland Drive. We've had a lot of work in regard to this particular proposed budget for this evening as such. One of the areas that I wanted to thank you for on this proposed budget at this time has to do with the senior center. The senior center has had, I think 2 years ago, it was 50 years it was in existence. There's a lot of changes that were proposed in regard to equipment that they have. I'm looking forward to the update, which has been there for a long period of time. In Germantown, we have 5 senior centers for people to live. 2 of them have other proposed items that they have throughout the year as such. You also have people who at Gables who have side-by-side office. And then you have people who are living, like myself, in Germantown at the senior center. And you have all the people who have families that are living in Germantown, supporting their grandparents and so on and so forth. So these particular changes that were done, as proposed, as I said, I hope that you'll continue to support, because these people are really looking forward to this. Thank you for your independence.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward tonight, either for or against? Good evening and welcome.
Melanie Smythe, N140 W17938 Cedar Lane. I was going through some of the information that was in the packet, and I am looking at some of the way that we address our costs, our operational costs, is salaries and benefits are put in TIDs. And in TID 9 in particular, in 2024, we had $27,000 worth of benefits in that TID. And next year, we're going to have $36,000 of benefits in that TID. And salaries in 2024 was $79,000 in that TID. And in next year, it's going to be $102,000 worth of salaries. So if you add all of that up and add in 25, it's $343,000 worth of salaries, health, dental, life insurance, which to me, cleaning teeth doesn't seem like a viable cost for increasing net new construction. I think there's something really off about that. I mean, I know that we're desperate to try and squeeze every little dollar out of things, and just because we can do something doesn't mean that we should. We should do a better job of trying to live within the means. I don't agree with salaries and health and teeth cleaning and life insurance being covered by the cost of TIDs. I think it's abusive, actually. One of the things that isn't shown, and why I'm looking forward to December when we get the 5-year projection of all the capital costs, that is, it's over $100 million worth of stuff that we know about in public works, and other costs that are coming up. Next year's dollar amount seems okay, but we already have had a projection for 2027 of the village component being somewhere around $200, which if it's the same math, then that means potentially the entire tax amount, including all the other entities, would be closer to $800. Now, with all of those other projects going on over the next 5 years, we're going to remain at a high level of taxation, it seems. So I really think that we need to take the process that we did this year and do a much better job of cutting out and looking at the expenses and living within our means in the operational budget and not pushing stuff off into borrowed monies or TIDs that inflate in a poor methodology, net new construction. I don't think that's right. Let's see, did I have anything else? Oh, one last thing. I took a look at some real estate costs and what generates taxes. A roughly 100-part apartment building complex that was built within the last 5 years, worth 23 million according to the county on the assessment rolls, generates $300,000 in taxes. So that's not an awful lot of money per unit. A recent home built for $600,000 in 2022 on half an acre generates 8,000 taxes. That's a big difference. Also, I was wondering if you'd looked into the fluoride thing and if you thought there was any potential for saving $49,000 out of the utilities, because a lot of people don't like fluoride anymore. Those are my remarks.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward, either for or against? Good evening and welcome.
Hello, Scott Heffley. I think I announced my address earlier. With regards to the budget, this is the 4th time I've sat through the entire process with the budget. And what you have to do tonight is pass it because people need their property taxes, okay? Some of you, I know, are not really in favor of this budget. Maybe some of you are. But the fact remains, I've been coming here for 4 years and just telling you and sharing with you and hopefully helping you understand that we are just keep transferring operational costs into either borrowing or TIDs as a way to balance your budget, which is not balancing. Your borrowing is no way to balance a budget. If you do it in your own house, then you're going to be in a world of hurt soon. And that's where we're headed as a village. What's most interesting about that is that you trustees who have the power to represent us, okay, are given very little information and very little leeway to actually cut anything. All you end up doing is arguing about, can we cut this borrowing or that borrowing? Do you really need $114,000 worth of streetlights or whatever? I have yet not seen for 4 years where the village board trustees get any operational authority to change anything. And that should be in your purview as a trustee. You represent the people. And you are given a very limited little box of information. Well, if you go outside this, then we're going to have to explain to your people you represent that you're going to be cutting services. That's not good enough. I think you should demand more. I think you should get more. I think you deserve more. Okay? When you're handed, oh, we negotiated all these departments' budgets. We're good, and here you guys go. Good luck with that. All right? That is not the way the world works outside of this room. It's not the way it works in your jobs, wherever you work. That's not the way it works in the real world. So here we are again. You're going to be passing a budget you probably don't like for a lot of reasons. Maybe some of you like and think it's great. Some of you I know don't like the budget. And here we go again. We have not changed the process. Okay, we had more meetings. Maybe we moved things around. We have not changed the real budget, the real thing, which is here. There's probably going to have to be some cuts, C-U-T-S, in this village very soon. You're going to have a financial precipice that you won't know how to deal with. And I've been saying it, I feel like Chicken Little sometimes, but it's actually happening. You want to borrow $100 million and throw it on the taxpayers? Okay, you want their taxes, the people you represent, to go up $1,000 on average over the next 2 or 3 years? Then we keep doing the process we're doing. This is not the way to run a village. I understand it's government, I understand the taxpayers refill the rolls and we just spend like no big deal. But that is not the way it should go. And I'm hoping that we find a way to change this budget process better. So those of you that represent the 21,000 plus of us have the ability to actually do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to come forward either for or against? Do we have anyone on WebEx? Do we have any email communications?
We don't have anyone on WebEx, and we did not receive any email comments regarding the budget.
Okay, I'm calling this hearing closed at 8:50. Moving on to item, new business, item A, resolution adopting the 2026 village budget. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of item A, resolution adopting the 2026 village budget.
Second.
We have discussion. Seeing, yes, trustee Peeper.
This is the last time to make changes, correct?
That's correct. That after tonight, the budget that the village board approves will be used to calculate property tax information that'll be sent to the county. I think the 27th, was it the 21st is the deadline to get property tax information to the county, so they can get the property tax bills out to the residents.
Oh, I was looking for Matthew and there you are. Hi, it's your favorite trustee.
I love all my trustees.
Remind me again, Park and Recs, the recreation celebrations. What is all in there?
That account is typically used to track 4th of July expenditures as well as music at the pavilion expenditures. We try to make that a one-for-one match with music at the pavilion donations.
So I looked at the budget binder from last year. And last year, the line item for 2024 actual was 51,371. But it's showing in this one that the 2024 actual is 45,171.
Let me pull it up real quick. Sorry to log in.
It's all right. I just noticed that discrepancy and I was curious because last year during budget season, we increased that line item by $6,000.
I have the 24 actuals at 45,000 and the 25 actuals at 52,000.
So my binder from last year had different numbers. I'm just curious as to how that is. I mean, I can't really make changes to that line item. Okay. Facility rental expense.
That account is used to pay the school district for the facilities we use. Typically,
We pay them later in the year or what?
yeah, typically it's quarterly. The largest ones come at the end of the year.
They do.
There's a $1 charge per program that we kind of set aside to pay that fee.
Okay. So last year in the capital for Park and Recs, we put aside $50,000. Let me just go back to capital fund. Am I ringing a bell with you or no?
Yes, we're talking about the 25 budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we borrowed $50,000 for Park and Recs to do I'm trying to find it again. I had it up, but it just disappeared. To do repairs and maintenance to Fire Station 1. What did we do?
I would defer to the recreation director on that, or.
Actually, I can interject on that. The project was for repairs and maintenance to the structures at Fireman's Park. There were some repairs that were completed, several $1,000s at the within Fire Station 2, some safety improvements that were very urgent. Some of the money was looking at repairs to the shelter, the old shelter, just I think it's to the east of the playground.
But I thought it was for the floor of the old fire station.
That was one
That was $50,000 for the floor of the old fire station.
that was one component of it. It wasn't the entire $50,000. So the Parks and Rec director has, working with DPW, looked at the old shelter. It may be beyond repair. And the Park and Rec director has had some conversations, meetings with the Park and Rec Commission to look further into how those funds should be utilized.
So they haven't been utilized,
They have not been spent at this point, no.
but we borrowed for them.
Correct.
You guys don't see a problem with this?
You know, out of a $3.5 million capital budget, there are going to be some projects that don't go quite as planned.
Call me a penny pincher, but I've got a huge issue with that. And I mean, this is just one. Imagine if I didn't have a full-time job and 5 children to take care of, what I could fund. I don't support this budget. I don't support it at all. I think we didn't do enough cuts. I don't think we are doing our due diligence for our residents, but every time I propose a cut, I don't have the support to pass it. I'm not voting for this budget. I hate it. I failed the citizens. That's all I'm gonna say.
Further
Thank you.
discussion, further discussion. Trustee Jan Miller.
I am not happy with this budget either, and all of the borrowing that we're going to do and all of the maintenance that got stuck into the borrowing. So I like to propose, I have a question on the 20-year note. We have the 6.5 million for the fire station, number 2 renovation. That's okay. But what is the timeline for the police department?
That's a really good question. I think as soon as possible. The last direction from the board was to look at 2 additional potential sites for the police station. One, reutilizing the current existing site, and the other looking at the old Quick Trip site. At the direction of the board, we have Grafe under contract working on that. As of today, they said they believe they'll have a report back for the village board on January, the 3rd Monday in January. I believe that's the 17th, 19th. So at that point, that decision will be back in front of the board as far as a site selection for the police department. Once the site selection is made, then we can issue an RFP for design services. And that's what the funding in the 2026 budget is for, design services for the police department.
So right now it sits at 3 million. And I know Trustee Baum will say, oh, that's just right. But one of the issues I have is if we borrow that money and we don't get it accomplished, if we don't pick a location and we don't start it, where is that money going to go?
Well,
And the other thing is, we are engaged in a new advisor.
I really, really hope that we do get it moving and that we're able to make a decision. I think it's really important to our police officers and the people who are keeping us safe that we do make a decision and move forward. So we don't budget for worst case scenarios. We don't budget for the inability to make a decision. We budget for what's in the best interests of the community, and we hope that the village board can take some steps to move forward on that.
Well, I think that I think we're budgeting too much, and I also I'm cautious about when we borrow. We've always been borrowing in the spring, and rates. I think rates are high right now, and I think waiting for a later time would be better. And I don't know if we can't borrow more than once and just hold off. So that's my point. So I'd like to propose just lowering that police department design by 1.5 million.
Do we have a second?
That's my motion. For discussion?
I'll second for discussion.
Do we have discussion?
I think it's important to have a police department, and I think it's going to move forward. But I don't think that we need that kind of money upfront in order to do it.
You're going to be borrowing it next year.
You're going to be borrowing it next year.
Yeah, you can't even get started without it.
Yeah, you know,
Okay, I could say that while I made the most cuts to the budget by far. Am I wrong? Somebody tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not. And I can say that the police chief cut more than any other department that I saw. Did you not? We already cut his budget incredibly. And he didn't hate me for it, hopefully, but we cannot cut the police station. We need to get that started. They needed a new police station a decade ago.
So trustee Baum, can you maybe provide a little clarity on this, on going from 3 million to 1.5? Typically a $3 million design budget, you're looking at 10% of the total spend.
Sure.
Give
You
or take.
you can find somebody out there that'll do it for 1.5. They may not be the most experienced. They may have a different tact on it. I've asked the question of what is our $6.5 million for the fire station getting us? We, this village board, don't know what is going into these buildings. Why is it $30 million? I can talk to, you said 11 companies came to do the fire station. I can talk to all 11 of them, and they got different things in their head that will change the price of this. We have a recommendation from one group of people that this is the number we should go with. If you want to drop it to 1.5, you just limit half the people. And we're not going to use this group of people. We're only going to look at this group of people. Are they the right group of people? I've talked to a couple of these people who have reached out to me and, hey, we want to bid. We want to bid. We know we can do it for much less. That's great. This is a placeholder. We're going to borrow the money. If we borrow $3 million and only spend $1.8, $2 million, we have $1 million left over. What do we do with excess? We pay it down, we pay for something else.
And we will go through an RFP process. And if there are firms that are willing to do this for $1.5 million that are qualified, we will borrow less for the actual construction. Something that does happen on some of our projects. So the borrowing for the actual construction of the police department would be scheduled for 2027. If we budget and borrow $3 million for design and it only costs $1.5 million. And those will go through an RFP process. Those proposals, those contracts will come back before the board for approval. If we save $1.5 million, it'll reduce what we borrow for construction.
You will take that 1.5 million and put it towards the construction.
Yes. At the end of the day, you know, it's going to cost what it's going to cost.
Right. So you're out of one pocket into the other pocket. But if you don't have the money, if we don't find that guy that'll do it for 1.5 and you budget and you only borrow 1.5, you stop the project halfway through because we can't fund it, or we got to take it out of reserves. And we know what people think of us taking out of reserves. So I wouldn't change it at this point. I would wait for the process to go through and then address the number.
Thank you. Further discussion? We're voting on a motion on the table to go take down the 3 million to 1.5. Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
That motion fails. Further discussion?
Okay, I'm going to take another shot. Oh, jeez.
Say that again.
Your mic's on.
Everyone.
Okay. Ms. Jan, thank you very much.
Further discussion? Okay, we do have a motion. Yes, trustee Jen Miller.
Okay, I have another motion. I wanted to know from DPW about the Division Road construction, because I know it's going to be done in 2 phases. We have 3 million that we're going to be borrowing, and I don't think it's going to start until this year and into 27. So if you could explain that, I appreciate it.
Good evening.
Good evening again. Yeah, the Division Road project will be constructed in 2 phases. We'll be doing roughly the north half from the Jefferson Ditch to approximately Mequon Road next year. Our estimates right now don't use that $3 million next year, but we would use it potentially early in 27. So I guess it's a matter of how you sequence the borrowing. In pretty short order, between 26 and 27, we'll need that full amount to secure the contracts to do the work. So whether the borrowing schedule allows for a secondary borrowing, you know, later in the project, I guess that's for others to be determined. I could say from a DPW perspective, we'll want to secure the contract for the first phase, and then potentially later in the year be able to secure the contract for the second phase, or we could bid a contract for the entire project in 2 phases and award the contract at once. So if you reduce the borrowing, you would eliminate that option for us, which could save money on the overall project.
Aren't we saving money on the ditch from, I believe it's Lilac to the Jefferson ditch? The
Yes.
Yeah. So how much would we save on that?
We're estimating that the new approach on the Jefferson ditch will save about $500,000.
That's $500,000. So do you feel comfortable that that first phase would be closer to 1.5 million?
I think that's a rough estimate. Yeah, it's in that ballpark. So it's really not my decision on how the money gets borrowed. From my perspective, I want to be able to award the contracts when we need to award them to do the work, and having the money available to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Further discussion?
So I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
To reduce the Division Road, which is 2 phases, for phase 1 for 1.5 million. To reduce the borrowing.
By how much?
1.5 million. 1.5 and 1.5. 1.5 for 2026, 1.5 for 2027.
Do we have a second? And then I'll go to you, Matthew. We don't have a second. Matthew?
If there's no second, I have no comment. I would only say that this project was approved as part of the 2025 budget. The only discussion that the village board can have, well, they could amend the 2025 budget, but we're really talking about when we borrow for the project. And that discussion can be made in April of next year as well, when we actually go through the borrowing process.
Okay. Okay, we don't have a second. So further discussion on the proposed adoption of the 2026 village budget. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Roll call.
Sorry. I was secretly hoping you were just gonna do that and it wasn't gonna pass.
Okay, trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Ketz,
Aye.
trustee Baum,
Nay.
trustee Jan Miller,
Nay.
trustee Borst. Aye. Trustee Peeper,
No.
trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
trustee Kaminsky,
Aye.
village president Soderberg.
Aye, that motion carries.
Mike. Microphone.
That motion carries. We're now on item B, resolution approving the levying of property taxes for village purposes. Trustee or Administrator Krecklow.
I'll just quickly introduce this and Finance Director can add anything if it's necessary, but this is a companion action to the adoption of the budget. The adoption of the budget creates spending authorization for departments and projects. This resolution approves the levying of property taxes to fund a major component to that. So it's a necessary action to follow along with the budget that you just adopted at this point.
Move approval of resolution approving the levying of property taxes for village purposes.
Second.
Discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Roll call.
I tell you, I can't write as fast as you guys move on. All right. Item next, or trustee Warren,
Aye.
trustee Ketz,
Aye.
do you say aye or nay?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Baum,
Nay.
trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Borst. Aye. Trustee Peeper,
No.
trustee Rick Miller, trustee Kaminsky,
Aye.
village president Soderberg.
Aye, that motion carries. We are now on to item C, resolution authorizing the placement of special charges on the 2025 tax roll against certain properties. Administrative Representative.
Second.
First.
Thank you.
We have discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Just roll call or no?
Yeah, probably.
Roll call. Yep.
Trustee Warren, trustee Ketz,
Aye.
trustee Baum,
Aye.
trustee Jan Miller,
Aye.
trustee Borst. Aye. Trustee Peeper, trustee Rick Miller,
Aye.
trustee Kaminsky,
Aye.
village president Soderberg.
Aye. That motion carries. We're on to item D, resolution declaring official intent, RE bond reimbursement under section 1.150-2 of the Internal Revenue Code. Administrator Krecklow?
So again, I'll take a quick shot at this and see if the finance director throws anything at me. When we adopt a capital budget, that creates an authorization to begin spending money. Obviously, to begin spending money, we need approvals for contracts, that sort of thing from the various village board committees and the village board itself. We typically don't issue debt until in the past couple of years, April or May. We do have a new financial advisor who asked that we might want to look at reducing the frequency of debt issuances. So in other words, we may be spending money on capital projects before we issue debt. One of the legal steps that we have to take in order to basically reimburse the village general fund for any of those expenditures is to adopt what's called a a reimbursement resolution, and that's what you have before you. So if you adopt this, what this means is that if you approve expenditures on capital projects before we issue debt, the general fund can get paid back from the proceeds from borrowing when the debt is taken out.
Trustee Cutts?
So I just want a little clarification on that because we're just told we can still pull things out of the capital before we do the borrowing. But if you're already borrowing money for a project, what do we do? Because you're saying you can borrow ahead on something that we approve on the budget now, but we're not actually borrowing on it till next year. So we could still pull something out of there before we borrow. But if you've already,
Yes, that is an option that the board has, and the board's done that in the past where when we've gotten to the point of actually issuing debt, that the board has decided to, pull projects out, pull pieces of equipment out. That has happened in the past. That's not really related to this resolution. What this resolution does is let's say next month, the police chief comes forward or the DPW staff comes forward and says, because of the long lead time for equipment that was just approved in the budget, we want to place the order. So we're going to ask the committees and the board to approve that. This reimbursement resolution would mean that if we decide not to borrow until later in the spring or even the summer, that we can still use bond proceeds to pay for those expenses.
but they would still come before the commissions to
Yes.
get approval to
Yep,
do
this does
that.
this does not provide any expenditure authority. That all has to come back, follow everything over $15,000 has to come back for approvals.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Baum?
So in that scenario, I'm going to buy a patrol truck. And because it's a long lead time item, I gotta spend $200,000 up front. I have to pay that money up front. I'm gonna take the money out of reserves to pay that 200, and then when I borrow, I pay back reserves? Is that how this works?
I guess I wouldn't use reserves. We pay it out of our working capital. The village at any given point has, money in our checking accounts, in our short-term investment accounts that can be used to cover, payments of that type. So what this allows is for, the village with a proper authorization from the village board to make purchases and to buy things related to the capital budget when it makes sense to buy them. And it allows us to borrow money and issue the debt when it makes sense to borrow money and issue the debt. This is just a legal step that's necessary to kind of allow for that flexibility.
And what committee approved this?
This went through GGF.
No, this is
Oh.
as part of the budget
Oh,
adoption.
I'm sorry, it's part of the budget
It's
itself.
part of the budget adoption.
So this is the first time any of us are seeing this process.
No, we've done this.
Done reimbursement resolution.
Yeah.
When?
We did one when we did the Glenwood Park Relay Project. We did, I think that was in August of 24, we did one.
It was no.
The board has done this on a project by project basis before. This is, I think, the first time as part of the overall budget, we've done this. And, again, because there's a lot of large projects, it's gotten more complicated acquiring equipment because of, like you said, the long leg times. We want to make sure we don't miss anything. So we're taking this approach this year.
So the only benefit that I'm hearing is that we can pay for stuff now and borrow later than we usually borrow.
That's correct.
We would continue to borrow at, April, May, June. But what the benefit is, and your example is a good example, is if we need to pay for something, in January for a capital project, we wouldn't be able to do that. because we only have a 60-day window then to borrow to replenish those funds. If we have this, we have a much larger window.
Okay.
Matthew, what's the risk if we don't pass this resolution?
Right.
Essentially, we couldn't pay for any capital projects until 60 days before we receive the bond proceeds.
Thank you.
And question, why are we doing it this way instead of for a major project?
I think it provides more flexibility to the village board on when they decide to purchase capital or to pay for capital projects. It doesn't limit us to within a 60-day window to then borrow to replenish our reserves. We could start paying for things in January and then replenish our reserves in May or June. Where if we didn't do this reimbursement resolution, we couldn't start paying for things until March for capital projects, which for some capital equipment is a problem given the large lead times.
But not all. So how do we know? How do we know does it come before a board before this is enacted in each department?
Any contract for a capital project would go before their oversight committee and ultimately
Okay.
the village board. This reimbursement resolution would not come back. It'd be adopted here tonight.
So I think the question that Trustee Miller is perhaps asking is why wouldn't you just do a reimbursement resolution? Like if we get to the Trustee Baum situation where we need to pay for a truck in January, why couldn't we just do the reimbursement resolution in January as part of that process?
You know what, I'll answer that. Because if you look at the projects that are out here, and it becomes kind of cumbersome and difficult to track and to work with. But so we've got 25 rifle suppressors for $25,000. If Chief Merton wants to buy those in January, then he would have to come forward not only with all of the paperwork and the necessary work to actually buy those rifle suppressors, we would have to create a reimbursement resolution for that and move that along with it. If we're buying an election trailer for $17,000, and that could actually be approved at a committee level. If we don't do this tonight and the clerk's office has the trailer ready to go and buy in February, they would have to come back to the board with a reimbursement resolution before they could go ahead and buy the trailer. The senior center AV upgrades is another example that's also under $25,000. That can be approved at the committee level. If Park and Rec is going to go forward with that, they would have to have an individual reimbursement resolution. If you pass this reimbursement resolution, you're not authorizing anybody to do anything without your approval. You're just in a blanket taking care of that so that departments, generally when you do adopt a budget, you want to try to get some of these things done as quickly as possible. It's just a more efficient way, and I think probably a more transparent way of just handling this so that we don't run into issues with our bond issuances.
There's no downside to adopting this resolution. As the administrator said, you're not approving the expenditure for any capital project.
Their motion.
There's no motion. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion for the resolution declaring official intent regarding bond reimbursement under section 1.150-2 of the Internal Revenue Code.
Second.
Further discussion? Saying none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That motion carries. We are now on to item F, land swap between Flower Source and Blackstone and change in zoning for the Village Center District to move development forward. Administrator Krecklow.
This is an item that was submitted for the packet from Trustee Pieper with the cosigner of Trustee Rick Miller, and I'll let them present their information.
Trustee Pieper.
Correct. I thought that instead of swapping part of our park on Hauptstrasse and part of our land at our recycling center, that we moved specifically to the new public works so we could revive our Main Street. No, nothing's been done with it yet, but we have the opportunity to do something with it. I figured we could save the golf course by proposing a land swap with, I don't, if it would be the HIMAC group or Blackstone, if we swap the golf course with the Flower Source, we already planned for multi-family housing there. We already planned that. We know there's going to be multifamily housing there. We can control the amount of multifamily housing that is coming to this village. We already have multifamily housing coming on Lannon and County Line. That really wasn't on our radar. I think this would be an opportunity for the village to save the golf course, which is one of the very few things that we have left in this village. And then we can revive our Main Street downtown and dream big, and the sky's the limit of what we could do along Main Street, along the Menominee River frontage that village would own. And instead have all the multifamily housing go exactly where we had planned it to go, the Village Center District. To me, this makes sense. We could save the golf course, and in lieu of taxes, we could lease out the golf course to whoever is running it now. Or, I mean, the possibilities would be endless, and we'd be saving one of the very few things that Germantown has left. And it makes sense to do a land swap like this and have him put all the multifamily housing in our Village Center District. We need a developer there anyway, multiple developers. We need multiple for Village Center District. And we have one right in front of us that we know is respectable to put multifamily housing there. It makes sense to me.
Okay. I mean, Trustee Rick Miller.
I guess I'll add just a little since I was the co-signer on it. I thought it was some out of the box thinking and wanted to see what the rest of the board thought and maybe the HIMAC group and find out if there's any appetite for this. It's something that it would be great if it happens and we retain the golf course and everyone's happy. I think in light of what you were talking about though, Bob, about expanding that RFP to your neighborhood, that would be a benefit to maybe taking this to the next step and seeing what, you know, what type of thing that the residents would like to see. And, you know, with the Village Center, my feeling was, and the reason that I supported to talk about this is that the Village Center to me is the most important thing because we own it and we have to do something with it and we should do something with it. And, with all that happening, with other things happening at Blackstone, at Lannon and County Line, and that there's a lot of proposed multifamily developments. And I think we do need a master plan for this. And maybe this does include retaining the golf course. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
And I'll say, Trustee Pieper, this is definitely forward thinking.
You
And
can't take all the credit.
And we've had conversations on this, and I would welcome the opportunity to find a going forward solution for the golf course. But I think this is, and I'm just one vote here, this may be premature until such time that we do the RFP and do the neighborhood meetings. But I love this idea, and this could be included in that.
And yes, I would like to change the village's reputation for developers. And I would like to start that with you. And I would like this to make a very easy process with you to put multifamily housing and have you included in the Village Center District. I really do. And I hope this is the opportunity that we can change our image with developers, our reputation. And I think the first step in doing that is changing the zoning for the Village Center District. And I think that needs to be done ASAP. And we can put it out for RFP, but we're not going to get anything back because the zoning's not there. We are the ones that decide the zoning and we need to change it. We already know what is planned for there. We want it to be mixed use. We want it to be there to be some residential. We want some commercial. why are we not changing the zoning to make this easier for developers? And I think we can show, in a show of good faith, we should do that immediately and give priority to the HIMAC group.
Well, I don't want to give priority to any developer. That definitely, the folks that are sitting in front of us are very well known. They do a good job, but I certainly don't want to give priority to anybody.
I
so.
certainly don't want to, I know they've invested a lot of money
Yeah,
into
I understand.
putting that proposal together for the multifamily housing there, and I want to make it beneficial for them too. And I mean, we literally just killed their plan that they had a lot of money invested in and time. And I would like to do a land swap for the golf course. I want to save the golf course.
Yeah. Again, we may want to do the neighborhood meetings first to find out if there's appetite.
Nobody comes to the neighborhood meetings.
Okay. So trustee Jen Miller.
Thank you. I agree that we need to take a look at saving the golf course. I heard it from a lot of my residents that use it. And since COVID, it really is important for people to be outside. Our parks are utilized a lot. And I feel it's a huge benefit. And if you wipe that out, then we do have lovely parks, but we would have to really, I think, continue to invest in our parks. But there's something about a golf course that's really, really nice. And there are a lot of golf outings and fun things. So, but I do agree with, and I've been beating the drum about this, we need a plan. We need to have somebody come in with this RFP, expand it, include it in the village center district, and that includes the property, your property, the Hymet property to the far west, and the Flower Source to the far east, and maybe a little beyond. But the whole swath of the village center, it would be nice to look at it in whole and then make a plan, get people in, because the little neighborhood that's on the west end is a little bit different than the little neighborhood on the east end. You might have to cut it up in 2 pieces, but that's okay. But I think something that's that will connect everything and be cohesive, or at least try to be. We have some older buildings in there, but what can you do to make it a cohesive area? And it can be, and I think it will make for a better village area for people to walk to bike to, maybe even take an ATV to.
Trustee Baum.
You cannot make any decisions. What we're waiting for, which I have been trying to get moving forward for God knows how many months now, is what are the zoning guidelines? How tall can something be? How many units per acre can something be? I have talked an item online that I'm okay with starting with one of these projects and doing this study that applies to the overall village center district. I don't care whether you start with the Hymet group, whether you start with village center, the one on Mequon and Pilgrim. If you want to start with the other property, Grossnick property, doesn't matter which one you start with, you're going to get all the same information. You're going to ask all the same questions. What is its density for the overall area? Doesn't matter which project you start with, your question applies to the whole village center. We need that information. We're going to apply it to their project. We're going to apply it to all the projects. We're going to apply it to projects coming forward beyond what we know today. These are the criteria we want this area to look like. If you think we are coming forward with a master plan that shows every building, every layout of every future site, no, that's not what you need, because that is going to change 20 times before the next developer comes in. you want us to save the golf course. The owner of the golf course tried to sell the golf course as a golf course. Couldn't sell it. There's something problematic with the golf course.
They have a buyer.
I'm sorry, I have the floor.
Okay.
There's something problematic with the golf course. If you can find another buyer, have them talk to Mr. Sedgwick because they're in control of the golf course now, not us. We are not involved in that land exchange at this point. The original concept that was brought out is we have a more urban end of the village, which would be Mequon and Pilgrim, and we have a more rural end, which is the golf course area. And we have a transition through down Main Street that brings you to the area and through the area and back out. And it ties the whole area together with an overall idea, which comes from the zoning, the guidelines. What type of architecture do we want? What type of amenities do we want? Economic Development Committee, can we find out what type of businesses we want to go into this area? But to talk about this concept of swapping the land, go ahead and talk about it, but who is going to talk to these guys? These guys don't even know what the value of it is. We've been holding out to create this grand idea so that we can tell a developer that comes in, this is what you are going to build. This is what we want to see. This is how beautiful we want it to be. Here's our criteria. And then who wants to pay the most for it? Who's going to give us the best deal to do it? We don't go to one group and say, come on in. We had one group that bought all this stuff or was in the process of buying it all, and they, for various reasons, backed out of the deal. Now, you want to go to one person again? We've talked for months, if not years, that we need multiple players in this to get the best deal for the village. Can't just swap land without any idea of what the value of stuff is. You're going to put these guys on hold for another year if you want to try and swap land at this point.
Trustee Pieper.
Yeah, I make a motion to direct staff to start conversations to see if this is even a possibility, if they would entertain a land swap for the golf course.
Negotiations, discussions with whom?
With the HIMAC group and, what name should I even say? Okay, Blackstone, I would like staff to work with Blackstone LLC to enter in conversation and discussions with them to see if this would be entertained.
To roll it in or roll it out. I like that. Okay.
And then,
I'll second that.
okay, and I have another motion after that, but let's let this one go.
Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
2 opposed, 3 opposed. That motion carries. Terry, are you still on?
Yes, I'm an aye.
Okay, that motion carries.
I'd like to make another motion to put the Village Center District zoning on the next Planning Commission agenda.
For what?
I'll just do it. You don't have to make a motion on that. We'll just
Okay.
do it. So
But for what purpose?
have discussion.
Center District moving.
What are you going to decide? What are you going to discuss?
Yeah, we'll have staff make a presentation and then possible recommendations for
Nothing
discussion.
can be done with it, with the current zoning. The zoning needs to be changed bar none. First and foremost.
And that's what this
Is it
RFP is
that-
going out for, to get
Yeah, they're
resident
expanding the,
input to guide us as
I
to.
just want to make sure it stays
okay.
front and center.
Okay, further discussion on this matter. All right, we got a lot accomplished. I was guesstimating that we'd be here till 11:30 tonight. So thumbs up. Huh? No, no motion. Yeah. So any further comments before we close this meeting? All right, we're closing at 9:38. Thank you for coming and drive home safe.